if I needed to make $10,000 before the end of the year, here's what I would do. I would use PPL. And if you're not familiar with PPL, PPL is pay per lead. It's where you pay for leads on platforms like Ispeedtolead, Leadzolo, propertyleads, things like that. They go out and spend all the money on marketing. They run Google ads, they may run Facebook ads, they may run YouTube ads, they may cold call people, they may cold text people. They do all the work and find people who raised their hand and said, hey, I need to sell my house and I'm willing to sell it for a discount. And then you, as the buyer of that PPL lead, can then call them and have a warm lead. Difference between a warm lead and a cold lead is you're calling somebody, just calling thousands of people, which you may never reach someone who's actually interested in selling. This way you find somebody who's warm, who's at least said, hey, I'm interested in having a conversation. They may not be motivated enough to give you the killer deal that you need, but they're at least interested in having a conversation. And I personally have done kind of a combination of all of those things, where I've called people, I've texted people, I've pulled lists. PPL is the easiest, the fastest, the best way, in my opinion, in 2025 to be getting a deal, especially if it's your first deal in wholesale real estate. Even if it's not your first deal, I've done dozens and dozens of deals year to date alone, and the majority of them, I'd say all but a couple, have come from PPL. You can do a variety of things with PPL. You can get vacant land leads, you can get mobile home leads, you can get fixer-upper house leads, you can get commercial real estate leads. It just depends on what your specific strategy is and what you want to focus on. And I'm not going to get into that today of like what you should pick and how you should pick it. But what I am going to say is that stick with whatever one you try. So don't be jumping back and forth between land and then mobile homes and then fixer-uppers and then expired listings and all that stuff, because that's just going to be too difficult to scale and monetize if you focus on the same thing over and over and over. And if your thing is just fixer-upper properties off of PPL, then focus on fixer-upper properties off of PPL and call those for months, right? You've got to have a few months of data before you say whether this is going to work for you or not. If you call 10 leads and you say, man, these were trash, they didn't want to sell for the right price, you just didn't talk to enough people, right? I talk to probably 20 or 30 people a week from PPL leads, and they don't always turn into deals. I might get one a week, I might get one a month, but sometimes they're killer freaking deals, and stay tuned because there's going to be a banger of a deal coming up I'm going to tell you about. Probably my best PPL deal ever, but it's not closing for like 2 or 3 days, so I don't want to jinx it and talk about it too soon. But yeah, PPL is the way to go. Let them go out and run the ads. You just get the motivated seller lead that comes right to your inbox or right onto your dashboard, and then you can just call them, right? You call them up and you have a conversation. Hey, I saw you were interested in selling this property. Is that correct? They're going to say yes. And then you ask them a few questions of like, hey, tell me about the property. What's going on? And then let them tell you about the property and what's going on with it. And then ask them, what were you hoping to get for that property? And then see what they say. Depending on their answer to that question may tell you how motivated they are. If you have a general idea of what that property should potentially go for. If it's a crazy price, I always ask them, where did you come up with that price? And if they say, I don't know, I pulled it out of the air, or maybe that's what Zillow said, it just gives you a chance to educate them and say, well, okay, well, understand that. That makes sense. Zillow normally runs their numbers based off of the best, the ones that are selling, that have been rehabbed, remodeled, people paid agents, that kind of stuff. So would you say yours is in that same condition of all the other ones selling around you? They're going to probably say no, it needs carpet and paint and floors and a kitchen and a roof, and see what I mean, right? And now you can go into it of, gotcha. So in my shoes, I would be the one who's trying to get that high price on the back end after I did the carpet, the paint, the floors, the whatever. And so if I'm going to do all that stuff and have to put the money into it and have the risk of it potentially not selling at the end, right? We don't want that to happen. Where's like your real bottom line? Like what do you think would be the best that you could do? And they're going to give you a more realistic number, hopefully, or they're going to say, I want top dollar. And you're going to say, okay, cool. Well, maybe this is just somebody I can refer to an agent or something like that, because this is not right for me as an investor. And get quick to know, it's okay to say no to deals. You have the power in this situation. You are the buyer. You're the one with the money. Even if you don't have the money, we didn't even get to that point yet where you're going to sell this to somebody else down the line. But that's the next step. Hopefully, if you got to the right point, they said yes, the numbers make sense, then you can get it under contract, and then you're going to wholesale assign that contract to somebody else. Wholesale assignment is when you get a contract with party A, right? So party A is the seller, and then you now are party B, right? So seller, buyer. I'm the B, I'm the buyer. And now I'm not going to be the real buyer in most of these situations. Some of the ones I do, I'm the real buyer, but a lot of them it's wholesale, and I'm not going to be the end buyer. I'm going to go look for party C, which is the end buyer, and I'm just connecting the dots between party A and party C, and I sell my rights to my contract to party C for a wholesale assignment fee. And that assignment fee could be a couple $1,000s. It could be tens of thousands of dollars. It just depends on how good the deal is that you negotiated. So if party C can buy it from you, even after you added, say, a $20,000 assignment fee to it, and so party A wanted $100,000, you said, okay, cool, I'll contract it for $100,000. Now I try to sell my contract to party C for $120,000. That's my $20,000 assignment. They get 100, I get 20, they pay the 120. If they can sell it for 250 to 300 on the back end after they've put some work into it, it's a good deal for everybody. I got paid for the value I brought for connecting the buyer and the seller because this buyer needed a deal. This seller needed cash, and I'm the person who can connect them together, and that's how you get the value that you're providing in this situation. And most people in these ones say, well, why wouldn't they just list it on market with a realtor? And that's a great damn question. The reason is, if it needs a lot of work and repairs and rehab, maybe they've got dogs, animals, they're embarrassed about the condition of the property a lot of the time, they're not going to go put that thing on Zillow and MLS and say schedule showings and come to the open house. That's not what the seller wants, right? It's a different seller than your traditional seller. And so this is why. They want somebody to be a one and done. Somebody's going to say, give me this amount. I don't want 1,000 showings in my property. And we can get into how to do the showings and to connect the buyer and the seller in a different video. This one was really just about me wanting to say, look, PPL is the way to go. If you are starting today and you need a deal before the end of 2025, and in my opinion, how you were going to do that, I would use PPL, and I would use some of the links down in the description to check out sellers of leads like Leadzolo, Ispeedtolead, and propertyleads. I would tell you, I'll get into those in new videos. I'm going to make a few more videos on this. I have other videos on those platforms in my channel if you want to go check those out. But use my referral code down below because you'll get bonuses for some of them, discounted leads or bonus referral credits to pay for leads on your site, which is freaking awesome, that you don't get if you sign up with just a regular link or if you just go to their website. But if you use one of my referral links, yes, I get a little kickback off of those, but I'm recommending them because I use them and I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars off of those. So anyways, are there other ways that you can make money in wholesale real estate before the end of the year? Sure. You could go bird dog. Bird dogging is where you go find a buyer, right? So that party C and they say, I want this specifically. And then instead of just finding deals in general, you go find a deal specifically for that person, right? That's what bird dogging is. It's reverse wholesaling for one specific buyer, not for whoever I could potentially sell this to, which is traditional wholesale real estate. You could be a dispo person. You could find people who have deals and you could go try and help assign those to other people, help them find a buyer. Maybe it's vacant land and you're going to go help them find a builder who needs a lot. You could get paid that way for bringing a buyer. It could be lending. You could bring people who need lending to people who have money and they will normally pay you a middleman fee if you want to do that. You could call on expired listings where you're going to cold call people whose houses came off of the market and didn't sell. You know they want to sell, but they just couldn't find the right price. And call them up and say, hey, if agents weren't involved, what is your best number? And sometimes you can negotiate a good deal that way. You could go work for somebody like me. I pay people to call pre-foreclosure leads for me. And if we close a deal, then they get a cut of that thing, whether they're working commission or if they're working hourly. By the way, if you're interested in that, hit me up. Maybe I'm going to be hiring again soon in the near future. You could door knock. You could literally go down the street, whether you're door knocking on pre-foreclosures that you know need to sell, Or if you're door knocking on people that just have ugly houses, you're driving through a pretty neighborhood, you see an ugly house, you could go knock on that door and just say, hey, I'm buying properties in the area that need to be rehabbed, and I was just curious if you might be interested in an offer, and then go from there. And the best part of all of this is, even if you have no clue what you're doing, you don't know how to comp, you don't know how to figure out the right price, if you just find somebody who's interested in selling, someone like me or many other people who are in the wholesale space will help you get through that first deal. They'll help you comp a deal once you find somebody who actually wants to sell. If you don't have somebody who actually wants to sell, you don't have a deal, and there's no reason to learn all this crazy stuff, right? Find somebody who wants to sell, let's figure out if it's a deal, and then you can go from there. So anyways, hopefully this was a fun video. Maybe I won't have any cuts in here. This will be just one little rant video for me. Haven't made a video in a long time, but I've been doing deals and I've been busy, and I was like, I need to put one of these up here because people keep asking me about PPL, and am I still doing it? Yes, I'm still doing it. I am still closing 6 figures a year from PPL, and you can too if you try it. So what questions do you have? Drop them in the comments. Check out those links. Like, share, and subscribe. I don't know. Do all the YouTube things. And thanks for stopping by. Peace.